In our last episode, Skjor introduced us to the Underforge, a secret meeting place that the members of the Circle use to perform rituals on those they deem worthy of becoming a werewolf. After participating in the ritual, we set out on a quest with Aella to slaughter the Silverhand inside of Gallows Rock, only to find Skjor lying dead on the floor.
I'm gonna find whoever did this.
Looking to get a strategic advantage over the Silverhand, Aella instructed us to travel to a small cave called Orithime and steal some battle plans for the companions. Upon returning to Whiterun, Aella asked us to venture out and secure another Wuuthrad fragment being held out in the rift. This is where our story continues. Skjor was a good man. Not perfect, but a good man. It's been 24 hours since his death, but strangely enough, the members of the Companions don't seem to have anything to say on the matter.
Might head down to the meadery later, see what they're brewing up. You can smell the honey on the wind.
My brother Vilkas is a better talker than me. He should be around someplace.
I never thought they would actually let me join the Companions, but now it looks like they're letting anyone in these days.
Perhaps they haven't found out yet. Or maybe they're still trying to accept the fact that he's really gone and never coming back. Either way, we know that one thing is for certain. Skjor's legacy will live on here in Jorrvaskr forever. Aella asked us to fast travel far east to a place called Treva's Watch, where she suspects another Wuuthrad fragment is being held by the Silver Hand. I hadn't discovered any locations even remotely close to Treva's Watch in my playthrough, other than Fort Greenwall to the east and Ivarstead to the west. Since it looked as though Ivarstead was the closer location of the two, I decided to fast travel here and then walk the rest of the way. Once we arrive in Ivarstead, we can eavesdrop on a dramatic conversation between what appears to be a father and his daughter.
Wilhelm said he saw you speaking to one of the pilgrims on the 7,000 steps. I told you that I didn't want you to go up there.
I know what you said, but I only wanted to speak to him for a moment.
Well, it stops now, and that's final.
Ah, to be young again. As we continue east towards Treva's Watch, we notice 3 men talking and having a grand old time on top of a bridge. I don't normally get distracted in this game, but I really couldn't help myself here. I just had to see what they were up to.
Hail, friend. It's good to see another merry soul enjoying this fine day. Ah, but you look tired. Come, share a bottle of Hunning Brew mead with me.
Hunning Brew mead, you say? I've never even heard of it.
You've never had a taste of sweet Hunning Brew? Why, it's only the finest mead outside of Sovngarde. Its sweetness is like a fair maiden's kiss on a starry night. And it's got enough kick to put a frost troll on his hind quarters. But enough talk. Come, won't you share a drink with me and my companions?
Why not? I'm on my way to sneak into a base full of werewolf hunters, and I could use a little something to take the edge off.
Ah, nothing like fine spirits to help raise your spirits. Cheers, my friend. May your adventures find you fame and fortune.
Yeah, cheers. Hope you can make it home safe without passing out in a field somewhere. Refocusing now, we can trek across some rugged terrain and jump up on a rock to get a better view of our surroundings. Just up ahead, we spot a tower hiding behind some trees. This is Treva's Watch. As we approach, our compass indicates that several enemies are nearby, more than enough to overwhelm us if they all attack at once. Using the trees as cover, we can sneak up to the outer wall of the fort and begin looking for a way in. Nothing over here. Maybe if we follow the wall south? Nope, nothing. I really don't want to barge in through the front door. There has to be another way. Rounding the corner, we see that the front of Treva's Watch is guarded by several large wooden spears protruding from the ground. I'm not exactly sure what these are meant to defend the fort against. Giants, maybe? Eventually we come to the entrance of the fort, which incidentally is barred shut. Looks like we couldn't come in through the front door even if we wanted to. Let's keep making our way around the outer wall and find an alternative way in. After rounding another corner and heading north towards the back of the fort, we suddenly hear the voice of a silver hand coming from somewhere nearby.
Go to the college, Dad said.
Use your smarts, he says. Like I'm supposed to figure out which college he meant.
Sounds like this particular Silverhand member had no interest in pursuing higher education. With still no way to get into the fort, I decided to start climbing up the side of a cliff in hopes that I would be able to circle around and come in through the back. But even though I was trying to be as sneaky as humanly possible, I still managed to catch the attention of an archer perched on top of the wall.
Now ain't this a surprise?
Using the rocks as cover, we can continue climbing and then circle around to the west. Here we find that the edge of the cliff stretches over the wall of the fort, allowing us to hop inside. It is here where we get rushed by 3 Silverhand. Once the Silverhand are dead, we can make our way south along the wall and then hop down to the ground level. Here we find...
Victory is yours! I submit!
Hang on. As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, lying on the ground in the center of the fort is a dead Silverhand with 2 ice spikes pierced through his abdomen. We can loot his body, but we're still left with the question of who killed him. None of the Silverhand who attacked us was using magic, so he couldn't have been killed in the crossfire. Strange, very strange. After making our way back over to where we killed those first 2 Silverhand, we can head east across a narrow wooden walkway, loop around, and then head up some stairs to an upper level. Here we find a small campfire, a couple of tents, and an unlocked chest containing gold, lockpicks, and iron armor. With the outside of the fort completely explored, we can head back down to the ground level and make our way inside Treva's watch. Just as we start to have a look around this rather small room we find ourselves in upon entering, we hear more voices.
Retire someday.
That's power.
Get myself an
Bet they
island.
got that secret magic. Can turn wood to gold. Yeah. Wish I could turn wood to gold.
Crouching down and peeking out into the hallway, we see that it continues on to the north, but still no sign of the Silverhand. Where could they be? Looking the other way, we notice a chest sitting inside of a nearby room. Taking one last look to make sure that we won't get attacked from behind, we step out into the hallway and travel south, being careful not to step on a pressure plate that's no doubt rigged to some kind of trap. After making it to the chest unharmed, we are rewarded with a steel war axe, some gold, lockpicks, and a potion of extreme healing. Turning around and heading north down the hallway, we find another pressure plate on the floor. It appears the Silverhand doesn't take too kindly to uninvited guests.
Once was a woman as fair as an even.
Is he singing?
I'm in old Stroh's Mackay.
What was that? Over here!
Looks like we got ourselves a hero.
No!
Once the Silverhand are defeated, we can have a look around the room. Though if I'm being completely honest, I'm not sure what this room is. In the center we find a dining table, but along the eastern wall we find a couple of prison cells. I'm confused. Is this a dining room or is it a prison? Maybe the Silverhand likes to chow down on steak and mead while watching their prisoners suffer? Who knows? There's some barrels in the northeast corner of the room containing some vegetables, a wardrobe against the northern wall with a pair of shoes inside, and in between the two was an unlocked chest with some gold and a quicksilver ingot. With the room fully explored, we can head back out into the hallway and continue traveling north. At the end of the hallway, we have a choice to make. We can either travel up a winding staircase or continue north into another room. We'll come back to the staircase and explore the room to the north first. There are several piles of hay spread out across the room, and in the center we find a storage shelf with a whole lot of iron ingots. Also on the shelf are 2 leather strips and some iron ore. There's some more iron ore on a wooden table connected to the shelf, and heading down some stairs to the east, we find a spiked wall trap. But where is the pressure plate? Ah, there it is. Let's do our best to avoid that. Just then, we hear more voices.
Should have known
Gonna
she
start
was lying.
keeping a knife in my
Said
boot.
she'd wait for me.
Tired of getting
They never
disarmed.
wait.
It sounds like there's more Silverhand behind this door, but first we can loot a nearby coin purse hidden in the shadows. Then, with our weapon drawn, we burst through the door.
I'll try and make this quick.
Picked a bad time to get lost.
More Silverhand come rushing in from a hallway to the east, one of which is shooting fireballs at us. Yep, that's just what we need right now. Giant speeding fireballs. Woo, that was close. After looting the Silverhand, we can have a look around this incredibly cramped room. However, upon closer inspection, we realize why it's so cramped. We're standing in a kitchen, complete with a pot hanging up over an open flame, plates and silverware, and, dog meat. Just a few steps south of the door we enter the kitchen through, we find an unlocked chest with some minor loot inside. There's also some leather strips on a small end table and a couple of potions hidden on another shelf. Continuing east and then immediately turning right, we can follow a short hallway south and then enter a chamber to the east. This appears to be the dining hall. There are some stairs leading to an upper level, and since there's really nothing of interest here on the ground floor, we can climb them and continue onward. Here we find a shelf with some more leather strips, a filter of vigor, and a filter of strength. Heading south, we find 2 books sitting on a table, one of which is the Wolf Queen Volume 4, and the other a copy of Mixed Unit Tactics. But this is no time for reading. More Silverhand reinforcements have caught on to our whereabouts.
What was that?
Yeah! Belly, like an old woman's purse.
Ace!
After killing them and looting their bodies, we can continue down this hallway to the east and then cut into a connecting room on our right. Here we find an unlocked chest with some gold and other random loot, and on a nearby table is the spell tome Bound Sword, which spawns a magic Daedric sword in the hand of the Dragonborn for 120 seconds. On the opposite end of the room, we find a dresser and a wardrobe, each of which has some clothes inside that weren't worth looting. Heading east down the hallway again and then turning left, we find a shelf with a whole lot of armor and weapons. A few steps north from the shelf is another room on our left, but before we explore it, we have to take out more Silverhand.
Ace!
Boy, that frost breath sure does come in handy. Heading into that room to the left, we see that it's a bedroom with an unlocked chest at the foot of one of the beds. Inside, we find a draught of the warrior potion, some gold, a ruby, and a steel helmet. On a shelf across from the beds is a potion of extended invisibility, and on a second shelf we find several books, some fur armor, and a potent paralysis potion. Directly across from the bedroom is an adept-locked door that leads into a storage room. Inside the storage room is another chest, a coin purse sitting on top of a barrel, a couple of potions on a shelf next to an apothecary's satchel, and a steel greatsword. Stepping back out into the hallway and continuing north, we can travel down some stairs where we spot a bear trap. But as we go to disarm it... Yep, that's typical. I was so distracted on the second bear trap that I didn't even see the first one. After disarming the second trap, we can round a corner and head into Treva's Watch escape tunnel. Immediately upon entering, we see a Silverhand with his back turned towards us. Creeping up slowly... screw it.
Someone there?
No!
After looting some leather strips on top of a workbench, we can turn around and loot another stack of iron ingots sitting on a shelf. Also on the shelf is some iron ore and 4 more leather strips. Heading out of this room and turning right, we can loot some potions on a shelf hidden behind several bottles of wine, and inside another room to the west, we find... oh no, a pile of bodies. We can loot each one of them, but sadly it doesn't provide us with any information regarding who they are or how they ended up here in Treva's watch. I suppose one possible theory is that these three were werewolves who were captured and locked away here in Treva's watch, possibly back in that room with the large dining table we saw earlier. Somehow they managed to break free and fled to the escape tunnel, but were stopped by the Silver Hand, killed, and then tossed aside. Heading west down some stairs and then disarming a bear trap at the bottom of some more stairs leading north, we suddenly hear more Silver Hand just up ahead.
Retire someday.
Kill him to get
Give
some beer
myself
every
an
now
island.
and then. Stupid bees and their stupid honey.
Is someone there?
Found you.
Ace!
I cannot.
In the middle of the battle, two more Silverhand appear from the east and start firing arrows at us.
You can't win this! I cannot best you!
It looks like the path continues down some stairs to the north, but first we can have a look around. Sadly, there's nothing interesting except for an unlocked chest with some minor loot and a couple of soul gems on top of a shelf. As we head north down the stairs, we notice that the floor beneath our feet fades away, and suddenly we're standing on nothing but dirt. This is an escape tunnel though, so it does make sense, and incidentally, just up ahead we see an exit back out to Skyrim. Looks like we could have snuck into Treva's watch this way if we wanted to, though I'm not quite sure where the entrance to the escape tunnel is located. If you happen to know the answer, tell me about it in the comments. With all of Treva's watch explored, the only place left to go is up that large spiral staircase we saw shortly after entering. So, retracing our steps, we can go all the way back to the staircase, but when we start to climb...
Huh? Now you're mine. That your best, huh? Ace!
After looting the Silverhand leader's body for some gold, weapons, and armor, we can continue heading up the stairs until we reach a chamber that's circular in shape. At the far end of the chamber is an arcane enchanter, and next to it, an unlocked chest containing the Wuuthrad fragment. To the left of the chest is a small shelf with yet another stack of iron ingots, meaning that in total we will walk away from Treva's watch with 18 iron ingots. Across from the shelf is a table, upon which we can loot the spell tome Courage, a coin purse, and an enchanter's elixir. And inside of a knapsack, we find a gold diamond ring valued at 900 gold. On the right side of the chamber, if you're looking in from the top of the stairs, we find another small shelf with some minor loot, including an iron dagger and some cooking ingredients inside of an apothecary's satchel. Heading over to the left side of the chamber, we find a ladder leading up and out to Skyrim. After climbing up, we find an unlocked chest containing an ebony sword and some gold. And check out that view. If you know me, then you know one of the things I like most about the Elder Scrolls V is the scenery. And this, well, this is just picture perfect. On that note, we can fast travel back to Whiterun and tell Aella that we have successfully recovered the fragment of Wuuthrad.
Another piece of glory. Good work, Shield Brother.
So you know me, Aella, I'm always looking for more work. What do you got for me?
And there is more work to be done, but I fear that Kodlak's gotten wind of our recent efforts. He's asked to see you. My advice, always be honest with the old man, but don't tell him anything he doesn't need to know.
Now remember, up until this point, Kodlak didn't know that we had launched a campaign against the Silver Hand. Aella thinks that we should remain cryptic and keep things from Kodlak when necessary, but personally, I respect Kodlak, so I plan on coming clean with him. We find him down in his room in the Jorrvaskr living quarters.
Thank you for coming.
Aela said that you wanted to see me?
Yes, youngling. Have a seat. I hear you've been busy of late.
Kodlak, listen. Aela and I have been working to avenge Skjor's death. The Silverhand won't stop until the werewolves have been exterminated. That includes Aela, that includes Vilkas and Farkas, and you. They've left us no choice but to take the battle to them.
Your hearts are full of grief, and my own weeps at the loss of Skjor. But his death was avenged long ago. You have taken more lives than honor demanded. The cycle of retaliation may continue for some time. In any case, I have a task for you. Have you heard the story of how we came to be werewolves?
Skjor said that it was a blessing from Hircine.
Aye, that sounds like him. As in all matters of faith, though, the reality is more complicated than one believer would tell you.
So what is the truth, then?
The companions are nearly 5,000 years old. This matter of beast blood has only troubled us for a few hundred. One of my predecessors was a good but short-sighted man. He made a bargain with the witches of Glenmoral Coven. If the companions would hunt in the name of their lord Hircine, we would be granted great power.
And they became werewolves?
They did not believe the change would be permanent. The witches offered payment, like anyone else. But we had been deceived.
But you're more powerful now, aren't you? Surely that has to count for something.
The witches didn't lie, of course, but it's more than our bodies. The disease, you see, affects not just our bodies. It seeps into the spirit. Upon death, werewolves are claimed by Hircine for his hunting grounds. For some, this is a paradise. They want nothing more than to chase prey with their master for eternity. And that is their choice. But I am still a true Nord, and I wish for Sovngarde as my spirit home.
Well, is there a way to cure yourself?
That's what I've spent my twilight years trying to find out. And now I've found the answer. The witches' magic ensnared us, and only their magic can release us. They won't give it willingly, but we can extract their foul powers by force. I want you to seek them out. Go to their coven in the wilderness. Strike them down as a true warrior of the wild. And bring me their heads, the seat of their abilities. From there, we may begin to undo centuries of impurity.
Sounds a little dangerous to me. Am I to do this alone?
You shall have no shield, brother, this time. But the spirit of Ysgramor goes with you to restore the honor of his legacy. Talos guide you, lad.
And with that, we set out to retrieve the head of a Glenmoral witch, which Kodlak believes will cure him of lycanthropy and allow him to pass on to Sovngarde. Sadly, we're out of time for today, but we'll pick up right where we left off next week. With all due respect to Kodlak, I find myself disagreeing with him with regards to the companion's ongoing conflict with the Silver Hand. Kodlak seems to be under the impression that if we were to just lay down our swords, then the violence would come to an end. But the way I see it, the Silver Hand wants the werewolves dead regardless of whether or not the werewolves choose to fight back. So it's either we engage in a war and win, or get wiped out entirely. The members of the Circle are not murderers. They are people doing everything they can to defend themselves against a ruthless and unremorseful enemy. But I'd love to know what you think, folks. Do you agree with Kodlak when he says that the campaign against the Silver Hand will just create a never-ending cycle of violence? Or do you agree with me when I say that the war against the Silver Hand is justified and that the companions are only acting in self-defense? Let me know in the comments below. I post new videos on Skyrim every single Thursday and Friday, folks. So be sure to subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on all of my latest content. If you're an entertainment junkie like I am, then you might like my brand new podcast, Pass the Veal, where we discuss everything from upcoming video games to movies and television shows. I post video versions of the podcast right here on my YouTube channel every Sunday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, so be sure to check that out as well. But that's all for now, folks. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week for part 5.